Hey, everybody, welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Kirby. And of course, we talk with people who are going to help our small and medium-sized nonprofits do good better. And sometimes the people who can help us do good better work at small and medium-sized nonprofits, like my guest today. It's Karen. She's from Everybody Wins, Iowa. She's here to talk about, hey, when you read to a child, everybody wins. Iowa. Karen, welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast.
Thank you, Patrick. You stole my line.
Did I? I stole your tagline, but it's such a really good tagline.
It is a great tagline because everybody does win when you read with a child.
I love it. I have children. I read to them every night. I'm very excited about this podcast. But if somebody's flipping through Spotify, iTunes, on YouTube, and they say, I like reading to kids, I think everybody should read to kids. Everybody does win, but they don't know exactly everything that your nonprofit or your organization does. Why don't you give them a 5,000-foot view, who you are, what you do, and why we're talking today?
Great. Yes. So Everybody Wins is a nonprofit organization based in Des Moines, Iowa, and we are Central Iowa focused. We serve 7 school districts in Central Iowa, approximately 30 elementary schools. We do have a couple of community partners that we also work with. And we recruit volunteers to come in and read with students once a week in a power reading session, which is an opportunity for kids to come in and they are connected with a mentor. Especially, we know it's so important during, I think I've heard the term now is endemic, because we're getting toward the end of the pandemic. So children just really need that consistent adult relationship that may not be a parent or guardian or teacher, that comes in from the community, that shows them that they are cared for and that reading is fun and they can learn so many things and get really excited about things through reading. So we recruit volunteers from the community. We bring them into our office. Generally, we do an orientation session. We do background checks to make sure all of our volunteers are safe to be matched with students. And then we have a part-time staff person called a site coordinator that coordinates the program. It's a scheduled time. So volunteers know I'm reading every Tuesday at this school, and they know the student that they're reading with. And we find that in this simple, scheduled, coordinated, consistent program, that kids are really increasing their literacy skills, they're increasing their social emotional learning, and they are usually becoming more involved and engaged in the classes, in their classrooms as well. Their classroom teachers have shared with us that, before my student was paired with the mentor, they were quiet. I could barely get them to contribute. And now, oh my goodness, they have just really blossomed. And it's so important just to have that consistent time. And I wish I could remember, because I read a quote recently on a social media about the importance of reading with children, that it was not only just for the reading and literacy skills, but it was really that just that emotional connection. And I know mental health is another really key topic. And I know a lot of nonprofit professionals that are really working and engaged in that work. And so we kind of touch on that as well by having that consistent, caring relationship with students. So not only do we bring in the volunteers and read with the students, we generally bring our program to the schools at no cost to the schools or the students or their families. We are a nonprofit, so obviously we get our funding through grants and individual donations and foundations and wherever else that we can acquire some funding to help support the program. And the schools really love it because they are getting volunteers to come in and work within their school that they do not have to manage or coordinate. And the best compliments that I can receive from principals are that we love your program because we see your volunteers come in every week and we don't have to stop what we're doing during the day to manage that that volunteer component of the program. It's very well coordinated, and like I said, it's very consistent. Volunteers love it because they know that they can put it on their calendar. And most of our volunteers, once they get started with us, they say, oh, it's like the best part of my week. I just absolutely love going in and reading with my student each week. And so it's a simple yet effective and important program to be provided within our community.
I love it. It's kind of like a mentoring program plus literacy program plus motivational program plus everything else sort of thing. Your tagline, everybody wins, I think legitimately is true. Where there's like everybody wins because there is so much included. I have a question though. You mentioned power reading. I need to know what power reading is. I feel like I've done it before, but I didn't get a good definition because I want to use it going forward. What on earth is power reading?
Well, it's our revamped. So if just a little bit of history, the organization was founded kind of in the late 80s. A New York businessman had read the Jim Turley's Read Aloud Handbook, was on the bestseller list in the New York Times back in mid 80s, I believe, and it held there for many, many years. And he realized that there's something that he could do. So he kind of took it upon himself to call the nearby elementary school, ask the principal, hey, can I just bring a couple of volunteers and do a power lunch with students during their lunchtime? And so, long story, they found it was very effective. He retired. He and his wife founded Everybody Wins in New York City. The program spread in the 90s, and in 2002, Iowa was blessed to have a program brought to us basically from our former Senator Tom Harkin, who he and his staff got engaged in the Everybody Wins DC program. Fast forward a little bit more, I believe in about 2012, the organization split and the national organization reformed under Read to a Child. And so that organization is still going strongly. There are still a few of us, Everybody Wins, as an independent nonprofit organization that we have since been able to get together in monthly Zoom calls. That was one opportunity that the pandemic provided us so that we could brainstorm and network ways to continue going when we had lots of schools shut down and things going on. And I can get into that a little bit more later, but I don't really want to focus on that journey if we don't need to. And so I came in June of 2013, and we were still calling it Power Lunch, but because we weren't under a national organization, we were able to kind of branch out. So we started some breakfast programs, we started some after school programs. And when I was writing grants, I was like, breakfast, power lunch, power after school, power evening, power supper, and finally, we just got to a point we decided, let's just make it Power Read because it's reading and it's powerful. And so that's how we got the Power Read program name. And it works no matter what time you do it. You can have Power Read before bed, right? If you're reading, doing nighttime reading to your own children before bed. So
power reading is power reading is what I do when I try to get through and slog through Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time books.
Okay.
That's a super nerdy quote for you that you can use. I power read through that because it's the only way to get through a Robert Jordan theories. All right. Anyway, so the question is, you're an independent nonprofit, which means the sort of the national association sort of wanes down, and now you're on your own, sort of hitting the ground doing fundraising and all that kind of stuff. Being a nonprofit leader is exhausting. What is one of the stories that you have that are successful, that keep you going, knowing this is the tough stuff, but this is why we do it, and you remember this story of success? Go.
One story of success that I love to share is the other opportunity that we provide for the students in our program is we provide books for the kids to take home.
Nice.
So at least once a quarter, and then at least once each semester, students can earn a book by doing an activity. We have an activity called Reado, which is like bingo for books, where they have to fill out a form showing that they've read different types, different genres of books. Poetry, April is the National Poetry Month, so that's coming up. then we provide books for the students to take home and to share with their families and to read with their families. And we had a student from an immigrant family where English was not spoken in the home, and she was referred to our program, and she was paired with her mentor, Marty, and she really loved reading. I'm changing the names for the student and the mentor, but Lisa really loved reading with Marty, and she was in the program for a couple of years paired with Marty. And as she was getting ready to kind of transition into middle school, she brought in a younger sister at the end of the school year and just said, Marty, I really loved reading with you, and I really hope that you will read with my younger sibling, my sister, Susie. And so sure enough, then Marty got paired with Susie. And they found that, after about 3 or 4 years of reading with the sisters, they had a brother that was starting kindergarten, and they thought, well, maybe Marty could be paired with their brother. So the fall comes and Marty comes in to mentor and said, hey, I was hoping I could mentor with Susie and her baby brother. And the counselor said, you know what? He came in reading on grade level. I think those books the girls were taking home, they were reading with their baby brother, reading those books to him. And he really doesn't have a need right now. So that was kind of one of those success stories that we can show, that we know those books that the kids get, that they can take home, if they can share them with their family and read them to their baby siblings, really do have an impact on their literacy skills.
It's really fun because I think the more you read to kids, the more they story build in their own brain, the better stories they tell, the more comfortable they are in front of people relating something that they've read somewhere else. They don't feel left out because they have a reference point to something that other people are making. I love the poetry bit, by the way, because there's something about rhyming that gets your brains all worked up as well.
Everybody loves Dr. Seuss for that,
Everybody
right?
likes Dr. Seuss. I wrote a poem just while you were writing there, and this is what I do. I randomly do this. I wish I had a program just like the one you run. I'd read The Hobbit every week and show that nerdy books are fun, and that's what we do. I would do that every single time. How on earth do people get a hold of you? I know there's probably people who are doing this that really would like to get a program like this started, or they want to figure out a way on how they can incorporate, or they just love what you do so much that they legitimately want to give you all the money so you can continue expanding the program and providing books, because this is just incredible and super awesome. And I'm super glad we get to talk today, because now I'm super inspired to go back and I'm gonna probably read a whole bunch of nerdy books to my kids tonight too. But how do people get a hold of you? Where do they go? And how do they give you lots of money? Because I know they want to.
All right, so we are on social media, and of course our website is a great place to begin. It is everybodywinsiowa.org, and so you can find us on Google. We have all of our information on our website. Unfortunately, we are just located in central Iowa, so I have had folks that have reached out from other parts of our state, which Iowa is a great state, and unfortunately they need to kind of be close. Last year was a little bit different in that we were doing some online reading together, but we can accept stories read out loud on video, just similar like this, and we have shared those with families and teachers as well, so that children that, again, especially those ELL, English language learning families, they can benefit by, having stories read out loud, even on video, is beneficial to them to be able to hear the English language and to make sense of some of those vocabulary words that they may not understand. And so we can use support that way, as well as cash donations are always king. We also have an Amazon wish list that is available on our website that they can donate books or other materials. Obviously, we, like everyone else, have had to provide some of the cleaning wipes and disinfecting things that are a little bit more expensive, and as well as some other materials that we utilize within our program, colors, pens, pencils, all that good stuff. And the great thing about the Amazon wish list is that folks can donate from anywhere and it ships directly to us, which is just a great benefit. And yeah, so, you know, because of the pandemic, we have not been able to serve as many students. The organization, when it did start about 20 years ago, we're getting ready to gear up for our 20th anniversary in 2023 school year. And so we started with 3 elementary schools serving 15 students. Our best year right now was in fiscal year 2019. Prior to the pandemic, we served 919 students with reading mentors. And we served about 530 last year, and we'll be at about 300 this year, just because we have not been able to have as many matches in the schools because of social distancing and all that great stuff.
I've got a very good feeling that you're on the uptick, as I think people are going to realize that this is really what kids need. They need that one-on-one. They need someone to read to, and to let them know that reading is awesome and that you can have fun, and it's super helpful long-term. It's awesome. So again, as always, we're going to put all these links in the show notes. And as you're clicking on, so go and click on this, finish up this podcast, and then go click on the show notes. And while you're clicking on stuff, why don't you go to Apple iTunes and go like this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, because we get 5-star guests talking about awesome things like Everybody Wins. So and then you immediately go back and go get a book and go give a donations. Karen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thanks so much for what you do. This is fantastic. I've been looking forward to this all day, to just have a discussion with your awesome group. Well, what you do is amazing. And everybody out there, go donate a bunch of money. And thank you so much for being a guest on the official Do Good Better podcast.
Thank you, Patrick.